Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Well, I have one of your favorites, my favorite. Even though she's much younger than I am, I feel like she's a pioneer in this industry.
No, honestly, sorry.
It's Claudia. It's Claudia, girl with no job, and of course the morning toast.
You have no idea. Like, this is such a big deal for me. Like, I've read your books, and You'll Never Put Ball in This Town Again.
Oh my God,
I watched you on Chelsea Lately, and like, you really are a podcasting pioneer. Like, you walked so everyone else could run. Like, you did it before it was cool, and like Conan and Dak Shepard were on. So this is like a big deal. I'm really excited. Thank you for having me.
Well, the way I met you is a couple years ago.
Oh, yes.
You had your Yahoo show, which was The Morning Breath. And I don't really even think I was really aware of it. And I did a post that you loved, and you reached out and got me on it. And I was so mad at myself because I got there kind of late. I didn't know what a big deal you guys were. And I got lost, and my phone was dead. And I was like, shit. And then later on, I was like, God, I can't believe I didn't realize, like...
Oh, man, that's so funny that that's your experience, because I thought it was so great. You were so funny. You did, like, a whole bit about how in magazine... We talk about this bit that you did all the time. We talk about it on the show, because it's such a good point. You two were saying how, like, every magazine story, like, by a journalist, they're always, like, noting how the celebrity's so nice to the waitress, when it's like, congrats, everyone else does that. Why is that a big deal?
I know,
like, why is that worth noting?
Right.
And now that you said it, I notice it everywhere.
Always. And... you have to be that way too,
yeah,
like yourself. I've always said, like, someone could take a shit in my Chinese chicken salad. I could literally see a turd and I'd still leave 20%.
Oh, 1,000%.
God forbid someone say I was cheap, I didn't valet, I didn't pay the valet enough.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
You know, that's actually funny that you said that, because I fell into, like, a little bit, like, not a scandal, like, because in my life this is not considered a scandal, but when I first started doing shows in comedy clubs, like, it was all so new to me, and, like, I was just, like, really figuring it out as I went, and I was in Philly doing a show, and, like, I ordered a Diet Coke to my room, and, like, you don't have to pay for it.
To your green room.
To my green room, yeah. And you don't have to pay for it. It's, like, free, and it's, like, there's no, like, a server, and someone blew me up on social media, like, I guess the girl who was working at the venue who brought me the Diet Coke and a green tea, was like a toaster, and she blew me up on social media for not tipping her, and like, it never occurred to me that you're supposed to tip from the green room, because it's not like you're at a table, you don't get a check. But now that I think about it, like, obviously, like, she waited on you, but it never occurred to me, because all of this was so new to me.
See, the only way I know that is because when I opened for Chelsea, and I didn't go up the traditional steps really either. I was doing stand-up for many years, took a big break from it, just started doing it like a half a year before I got Chelsea Lately. Then Chelsea had me open for her. And then eventually I became a headliner on my own. So I didn't go the feature route where and neither did you really. And if you had, you would have seen that's
how
something in it. Because I never knew that. So I'd be in the green room, and we did a couple clubs, mostly theaters. But in the clubs, yes, you're expected to leave, whatever, $20 to $40 a night,
it never
depending on how many people are there.
And I felt like an asshole, and I learned a huge lesson that day. Now I'm like, I don't leave the comedy club without giving everyone $1 million, like, because I was so embarrassed, and I felt so bad, and I felt so stupid, but it's like, this was all so new to me, and now, like, that's never the reputation I want to have,
One of my other great sayings is, and you could quote it, is sometimes my little bit of fame keeps me from being the bitch I sometimes deserve to be in a customer service situation.
Right, because you feel like more people are watching.
You never know.
Yep.
It's like, oh, well, I guess this is, the deal. And, but yeah, so that's unfortunate that they blew you up. Oh, God.
Oh, my God, I felt awful. I was so humiliated and ashamed, and I was just like,
first of all,
of course this is happening.
Really kind of awful for her as someone who works at the club. She shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean, but it was horrifying, like, so embarrassing. I wanted to die.
So you just had a show here in LA.
Yes.
And so it was just you doing stand-up.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you start doing stand-up?
Well, it's always something I wanted to do, was never brave enough to do, like, in the way that most people come up, like, open mics, a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. And I've always been, like, funny, and everyone's like, you should do stand-up. But I felt firmly, like, that there was a difference between being funny and being a comedian. Like, some people are just conversationally funny, like a class clown. So once, my career started taking off, like, on the internet, I was always, like, branching out and doing different things. So I would I tried to DJ. I launched my first podcast, which was like a losery podcast that I did by myself. That was so terrible.
What year was that?
Like 2014 maybe. I don't know. It was like so terrible, and I like did it in my apartment, and I didn't have the right equipment, and I couldn't figure out how to edit, and it was so terrible. But it was like a learning lesson, and I've always had this mentality where it's like I'll try anything. If it sticks, I'll keep doing it, and if it's terrible, I'll never do it again. Like nobody ever wanted me to DJ their wedding, so like I just stopped doing it altogether. And I was like,
hold on. Okay, wait. I love. How did you think that? First of all, I don't know. I was one of those people that at the height of DJing-ness, that like when it first really blew up like 10 years ago, I was like, how is this like a big deal? Like, aren't you just putting the songs together and pressing play on your iTunes? And everyone's like, no, it's not. You know, it's like, and all this kind of like crazy stuff.
It's like math too, like with the beats
so
per minute.
So did you go to like a little DJ school?
Yes, I went to a school downtown, like near NYU. There was like, it was called Scratch Academy. And
yes.
I took a lot of lessons. It was very expensive. And then you had to get the equipment. And it ended up being like costing me so much money. And I got one gig that actually made me the amount of money that I spent on equipment and classes. So I felt like I broke even. And honestly, the gig was horrifying. Like I did a terrible job. I couldn't take to it. It's a lot of work. Like transitioning in and out of songs is not what you think it is. Like I respect Paris Hilton so much more now. Like it was so hard. It was a lot of like pressure, like everyone watching you, because like the music is the whole like atmosphere at a club or a party.
Right.
And it was too much pressure for me, and I was bad at it, and I was embarrassed, and I didn't like it. So after that one gig, I never did it again.
Okay, there was a girl that worked at Chelsea lately that all of a sudden was like, I'm going to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And then she kept posting things and being like, hashtag Juicy Fruit Gum. She wanted like Juicy Fruit Gum to be a sponsor. It was very strange. And we're all like, what is going on? And she went on and she went to that Scratch Academy in LA. And then like word was like, after, the show ended, we'd like talk to people occasionally. And sure enough, she fell on some hard times. Oh. She met some other guy, DJ guy, and he stole all of her equipment.
What?
It was, I don't know how she's doing now. I don't know if she's still DJing.
I thought the story was going to end like...
No, it's like sad.
And that was the story of how Paris Hilton became...
No.
Oh, that's sad.
But wait, I want to go back a little bit and just get people up to speed.
Yeah.
So you're one of 4 sisters.
Yes, I'm number 3.
You're number 3, and your co-host is your adorable redheaded sister, Jackie.
Yes.
And she is...
older than me.
Oh, she's older by 2 years. How old are you?
Well, I'm chubbier, so like people just assume that I'm older. But actually, she is like so small and frail, but she's older than me. She's
frail.
26. I'm 25. She eats nuts and like salad, and I don't.
Just a handful of nuts.
Yeah, she's always eating an almond.
That's another thing in the magazines about someone like,
yes.
Yeah, what does she eat every day? Handful of nuts, a handful of almonds, a handful of blueberries, salmon on a bed of greens.
And quinoa.
For lunch.
Yep.
For dinner, she has a yam.
Yeah, always a yam. Or like those new purple potatoes that everyone's obsessed with, ubabi or something. Like,
yes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's always like the new alternative potato. I just like a regular potato.
Yeah.
I love potatoes.
Who doesn't? Okay.
In all forms.
So, and then the other sister, the youngest sister, also works on your show.
Yes, she's our PA.
Okay.
And then she just graduated from college.
And sister number 1
was our old producer, and now she has like a real job and
why did she leave the dynasty of Morning Toast?
Well, she was our producer when our show was on Verizon, and they were basically paying her salary, and we couldn't match it when our show got canceled because we had no money back then. And so she stayed at the company and just evolved, and now she works at a new company, but she's always been like a real go-getter, self-starter, entrepreneur.
So you kind of started this whole thing with doing your funny Instagram, and you tried to be a DJ. Yep. You had the sad podcast by yourself. So then how did the original show on Verizon, and how did you choose to pick your sister to be your co-host?
Well, so my sister actually worked at Verizon out of college and worked there for a long time. And I had a meeting with the CEO who really loved what we were doing, and they didn't really understand how social media works. So anytime they found someone, I was an intern there through college, and they found someone, I had 1 million followers, and they couldn't believe it. So they brought me in, and they were just asking me if there was anything I wanted to do or any opportunities that I needed resources for.
Right.
And they just had so much time, money, resources to throw at the wall. And we had always wanted to be a morning show because I really feel like as a 25-year-old woman, back then I was 21, there's no daytime television for me. I don't watch The View, I don't watch The Talk. Most people my age don't even have cable. And I don't feel like I relate to anyone on daytime television, in any way. So we were
But you do realize who's coming to daytime TV, don't you?
Who?
Drew Barrymore.
By the way, I love your Drew Barrymore impression.
When I heard the news that Drew got a talk show, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Was that really your reaction?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
how do
like,
you feel about
please
Kelly
make
Clarkson?
this work. You know what they've got Kelly Clarkson? She sings, she sings, and she always has to hold her stomach when she's singing. She's like still doing that, like anyone who's taken voice lessons have to do that breath exercise. So I feel like she's always like, and good for her. I think she's a good choice.
I love her.
She, like middle America will love her. She's a mom. She's real.
She's
kind of
country.
Looking. Yeah. The Drew Barrymore, I guess it'll be another one of my famous friends and lots of hugging and grabbing each other's ass when they come out. And a lot of like, oh my God, when we worked together on this little stupid film called E.T. And I was so impressed with you that you had a way about you that was just so surreal and so peaceful.
Right.
And it's really amazing. Like, it's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah,
It's going to be a lot of positivity.
She wasn't my first choice, but I'm not necessarily mad about it. Like,
I think, like, she's the right age for people that might watch.
Who are home at that hour.
That want to see big stars.
Yeah.
That want it to be positive.
Yep.
For one, I grew up with Oprah, and the Oprahs that I loved was when Oprah introduced us to hoarding, meth moms, things that we had never seen.
Yep.
And the audience was always impeccably dressed, so the audience was attractive, and then she'd have these juicy ass stories.
Yeah.
And yes, then she'd have Tom Cruise and he'd jump on the couch.
Right.
But
the other stuff was just as good.
Yeah, there was this, and I was always praying that she would just come back and be like, I've been gone for a while. Why am I selling bread?
Yeah. Oh my God, I love her bread commercials.
Yeah. So, okay, so you always wanted to have a morning show, which is true, and great and brilliant.
Honestly, a lot of the reason why we wanted to do it is because we thought of a hilarious name, The Morning Breath.
Yes.
And half the motivation behind it was just that we had a great name for it. And so we just started it one day. We started it on an iPhone. Podcasting was still very much an underground thing, but there was a lot of demand for us to just take the audio and make it a podcast, so we did. And then we started to get a little bit more budget from Verizon. At first it was an iPhone in a green room, they wouldn't even give us a proper studio.
Yeah.
And then we got studio time, and then they moved us to the big studio on 43rd Street. And it was really cool. Our numbers weren't that big, but we were just kind of getting our footing and learning how to talk for an hour every day live.
Yes.
And it was really a good experience. And even though it didn't end wonderfully, I had a great time, and I only have positive things to say about it. For the most part.
So with your sister now, is she your closest one, being that you're number 2 and number 3?
No, actually, we're all, I would say, equally close. My older sister Olivia, she's on her honeymoon now, and she's probably going to start having kids soon. So she's really a little bit more mature than us. She can't relate to us when we go to the Ariana Grande concert, so she just stands there. But we're all very close, and the kind of dynamics have shifted over the years. When we were growing up, me and Olivia were super tight because we were obsessed with Law & Order SVU, and that's all we used to do together. Every day she introduced me. And then there was a huge divide in my family because Jackie was very much the leader of the Backstreet Boys, and Olivia was very much an NSYNC girl. But the dynamics have changed over the years, just given life experience and where we're all at in our lives. And when the timing, Olivia was never really wanting to be on camera, but she has always been a Kris Jenner for us, a momager. So,
and speaking of which, did you relate to the Kardashians, being that they were a tribe of sisters?
I just want to say, I have been on the Kardashian flow since season 1, episode 1, even before that. Now everyone is so fake and lives for them, but I'm a true fan. I've been there since day one. I remember.
Have you been watching this season?
Of course.
Well, we can talk about that too. Yeah. I want to get to the Kardashians.
And we need to talk about
I want to just
you've
finish,
been on it.
Yes, I want to finish your story about your life. So when you guys you did the show and for how long were you doing The Morning Breath?
Almost a year. Right when we got canceled, it was about to be the 1 year mark.
And you got canceled because somebody found a tweet that you wrote when you were 16 years old.
Yes, I've been on social media my whole life. I grew up and Twitter was the most popular thing when I was in high school, at my dumbest and most ignorant. So, and I've had the same Twitter. It was at Claudia Oshry, and then I changed it to Girl with No Job, and I was starting to use it for promotional purposes. And the Daily Beast wrote this huge expose, and everything happened.
So basically one person that had it out for you.
Yeah, but then it got picked up everywhere.
But one person went back.
Yeah. Well, actually, what's so funny?
Who was it? Who
it was
discovered
a reporter.
Who was patient zero?
Right. Well, what's so funny is it was a reporter, and when I was reading the article, I was like, this sounds so familiar. Because there's like been like, you know, if you ever search your name on Reddit, like that's the worst thing you could do. Or like some of those forums that are dedicated to just like bashing people on the internet. And she had literally taken verbatim, like it was actual plagiarism. And I know there was a bigger issue at hand, my tweets, but there was an issue that no one really discussed, which is that she really plagiarized from Reddit articles and GoMe threads, word for word. So they really did all the legwork for her, but I think she got all the credit because she works at like an actual like institution. And so it was so crazy. Like I had just seen the night before I went to the first Countess Cabaret show at Feinstein's 54, and it was like the best night of my life. I was like wasted.
And then I saw you at the second one. We hung out at the second
like
one and went to dinner. Yes.
And so I woke up like so hungover, but I had the show that day, and I woke up at like 7, and my Twitter was ablaze, and I was like, what's going on? And I hadn't even gotten to post pictures of me and Luann yet because I was just like so drunk the night before, and it was just like such a way to wake up, and I hadn't gotten to the place that it eventually got by 7 in the morning, so I was like, whatever, like maybe it'll blow over. Like I had a pit in my stomach, and we had to do the show that day. And I'm on the show, like, and we use our phones during the show to like read comments, see what's, you know, going on. Maybe there's breaking news. And I just like could not focus. We had these guests from this reality show on CMT, and I just like, I didn't even know what they were doing there. Like I was so blacked out. Like I couldn't focus on anything else, and the show was over, and I ran to my phone, and like that whole day it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and like I literally never thought it was gonna end. It's like I didn't know I was so popular. I wasn't, you know, no one even cared about me. Like that was the articles written on BuzzFeed and all those, that was the first time anyone had ever written about me, which is so crazy. Like now I'm suddenly relevant. And
then I remember you had to cancel your show.
Well,
your stand-up. You were doing a stand-up show, and you're like, you had to cancel because you didn't feel safe.
No,
or what?
that was so it was just like the worst timing. So I had a month before decided like I want to start doing stand-up, and I sold 3 shows at Caroline's. I did 2 shows, and it was awesome, and I was like so ready for the third one, and then like 2 days before the third one is when this whole debacle happened, and there was you know, reporters outside my house. Like it was, I could not believe the level that I got to. Like I am an absolute nobody. Like they were acting like I was Kim Kardashian. Like so much presence. So, and I really felt like if I got on stage, like one, I don't think I could be that brave. Like I don't know if maybe I had done the third show, like things would have been different, but I'm not that brave. Like I like to think I have tough skin, but I don't think that I do. And 2, like I was actually genuinely afraid. Like you never know. People, like troll culture is so interesting because some of my biggest trolls were fans. Like they,
yes,
yeah. So someone could have bought
too.
it. Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, Taylor Strecker. You did a podcast with her.
Uh-huh.
She explains like the evolution of a troll in the most brilliant way.
Tell me what
so it's
it
like,
is.
They find you, they like your podcast, they think you're funny, they maybe read your book, and that starts to grow. And then they're like a huge fan, they can't miss an episode, and then they kind of become a little entitled. And if you do something that they don't necessarily agree with, or you say something that they don't like, that huge amount of love that they once had for you is now equal amounts of hate. And all the vigor and energy they put into supporting you, they now put into destroying you. So it actually makes a lot of sense that like a lot of the people who like are the first person to call me fat on Instagram, like they were my biggest fans 6 months ago, you know?
So do you, because I found it fascinating, because I really never dealt with much hate or anything on Chelsea lately, and I was on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook during those times, and it'd just be so rare that someone would, like, the only thing that anyone ever said was she looks like the puppet Billy in the movie Saw.
I don't know the reference, but
anyway, it's like a weird face. And I was like, the resemblance is striking. Like, thought it was hilarious, and was like, I could only be so lucky to be in a franchise that successful.
Right, the money.
Yes. So that was like it, like nothing. And then, so I've had a couple things happen, not to the level of yours, but where I wake up and it's a nightmare, and you're like, oh my God. And I think what also happened with the troll in my situation, I was just so I was like, what is going on, you know? And
are you referring to something specific?
Yes, I had a troll thing happen
recently.
No, this was a while ago.
Okay.
Actually, when I first started Patreon, and someone said, "Get ready, the trolls are going to come after you," and it was like I just couldn't believe that day was one of my worst. I was like, and I'm always like, oh my God, if I was rich, I'd quit. Yeah. If I was rich, I'd quit. I would quit. I'm like, I just want to crawl into the bed, and you think. And it's like you're walking around to Ralph's. No one knows, you know? But, like, when it's happening to you, it really is awful. So horrible.
And no one feels bad for you because in their mind, it's like you are rich and famous and none of this will really impact you. And people don't really realize, like, this is our jobs. Like, this is my income. And when my show got canceled and every single brand on the face of the earth dropped me as a client, like, I lost my income. And I'm like, okay, like, you can joke about me, call me big fat Jew, whatever, but I still have to pay my rent. And, like, that's where now I'm concerned. And the same question was, like, when it got so bad, I was like, this industry is not for me. Like, I've always thought I was, like, a tough person who had, like, thick skin, but it's become recently it's become very apparent to me, like, I don't have thick skin. And I thought to myself, because I took a month off and I just was with my husband and my dog, and, like, I was like, I don't think I'm probably ever going to come back. One, because I don't think it's physically possible to come back from something like this. And two, I think this whole situation has really proved to me, like, this industry is not for me. Like, I don't know how the Kardashians do it, seriously. Like, you can say what you want about them, but people say the most evil, vile, disgusting things about them, and it seems to not faze them at all. So I was really shook.
Was at any point... I mean, it's crazy because it was a tweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a few tweets, and it's tweets that I don't defend to this day. And
right.
I feel like I have now a very interesting perspective on cancel culture. Like, on our show, we report, like, Kevin Hart and the Oscars. And what I say is not always popular, but it's coming from my personal purview, which is having had it happen to me before. And I take full responsibility, like I said, those tweets, but it's so weird.
But I always say, isn't that what it's supposed to be? Is that
evolution?
That you've educated us, and so we wouldn't write that today?
Of
and so
course
what that
not.
we wrote it back then? Like, you know, watch a movie from 10 years ago and you'll be blown away of, like, there's, like, full rape culture in it. Like,
my favorite example is I just recently watched the first season of Entourage, and the first episode, every other word is the R word for mental,
right,
yeah.
Yes.
And I was so shook by it, and I was like, damn, like, where's the cancel culture for Ari, you know? Like, it's just a real symbol of, like, how different times are, and people are so quick to, like, dance on your grave these days.
Yes.
And it's so terrible, and that's why I know what Kevin Hart said was not good, and I fully understand that, but sometimes I'm just so quick to defend the person being canceled because, like, it's not always what you think. Like, and I know that there are people who don't like me, and in their hearts, like, they believe they're doing the right thing in hating me. Like, I don't think they're evil people. I think that they really think, like, I am a bad person, and that, like, I am a shrine to the KKK in my closet, and, like, that's really what they think, and they think they're, like, it's the social justice warrior mentality, like, where they really feel like they are doing the right thing in hating me, and they're so passionate, and it's like, that whole experience really taught me, like, what you see is not what you get, like, ever. Like, you could read something in a magazine, you could follow someone on Instagram, like, you still know nothing about them.
Right. And then, you know, and they love to, like, then screen grab that, like, I blocked them and put it in some other thing. Like, what? Heather, could you take
block
the
heavily?
heat? I just had to do recently because I had something happen where I was getting, like, a lot of awful stuff happen.
Oh, was it the girl in the comedy club?
Yeah, the girl.
I watched everything. I was fascinated. It was
from the girl in Atlanta.
It was in our Facebook group, and then I listened to your podcast, and then I watched a radio show, and oh my God, by the way, it took her 30 minutes to tell the story, and it was, like, so long-winded, and it was just never ending, and I
immediately called the radio station to say, like, this isn't true, the club miscommunicated with you, and I'm sorry, because I didn't even watch her whole thing, but I felt bad that she felt bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she would go on for 2 weeks.
And say such mean things about your physical appearance. That's where, like, I draw the line. Like, whoever's wrong
and I'm
or
like,
right.
and you're saying I don't support women, and you're like, talking about that I'm old. I'm
skeleton.
glad I'm old. I hope you're alive when you're my age. I hope you don't die of breast cancer before then. I hope there's a cure.
And you're, like still out here all these years.
Yeah,
more
like,
relevant
I
than
hope
ever.
you have kids and a husband that still likes you. I hope that you have that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want for it? Was
old
just,
is not an insult anymore.
So what? And that I hate that. I used to hate old jokes. I remember sometimes people would make jokes at Chelsea lately about someone being old. I'm like, don't we all want to be old?
Right.
Like, I don't get that kind of humor.
No, it's
so. So once you turn a certain age, you're not allowed to be outside.
No, it's
you're not
so
allowed
stupid.
to be on camera.
It's
you're not allowed
so
to perform.
Stupid.
Like, do you understand? We're all gonna age.
Yeah.
You can't stay young forever.
That's a great point.
Anyway, it was just so with that. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna block you, and I loved it. And I was like, because I don't need to ever. You don't get to hear my fun jokes, and you're never gonna buy a ticket. I don't want to hear this. And then they get so mad, like, but you need to read the mean thing I'm going to write to you. And I'm like, no, I don't, you know, and I'm not going to. And so then when it stopped, I actually missed it. Like, each morning I'd wake up to go through and I'd go to my Instagram and go back a few photos. Oh, okay, gotta block that person, block with. And then all of a sudden it stopped. I blocked them all. And I was like, oh. A little bit sad, a little bit sad, because it's the most empowering thing that you can do.
Yeah, I feel two ways about the whole blocking and like responding to trolls thing, because it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm like, I'm rubber and you are glue, and I cannot engage with you. And then sometimes I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. you're an asshole and I'm coming for you. And I always regret coming for people. And my sister Jackie says the most brilliant thing. She's like, okay, for every 10 nice messages you get, you probably get one nasty one. Like, you're choosing to respond to the nasty one. It's like, those aren't the people who deserve to have their DMs be opened. Like, it's really the people who support you. And so I know that's a lot easier to say than to do, but it's something I'm working on.
It's good, you know, and you can have fun with it, and I think people are like realizing it more. But when we actually, at the time of where my trolls really came after me, we had to like make sure that they weren't coming in the Facebook group and everything under different identities.
Moderating a Facebook group is a full-time job.
Oh, and people get so sensitive about that. And so we like looked into being on Catfish because I was like, I want to know who these people are. It's kind of And I remember I said, and the woman's like, who do you think that this troll is? And I go, well, she says she goes to NYU. I go, but I don't believe that a young, cute girl like this
would be spending her time.
Would hate me this much. I go, I think it's someone more my age.
Yeah.
That's like jealous and miserable. And the producer was like, interesting. So I never knew what it was, but then it never happened.
Yeah,
but I never found out who the troll was. I was like, I didn't believe. I felt the photo looked like it was someone they grabbed. It was just a cute girl.
It was
like,
a catfish moment.
How could this cute girl like hate me this much? Like, doesn't she have more important things to do?
Right.
But I don't know. But I think that's the classic of like how they turn on you. It's almost like it's almost like a weird, like I wonder what they're like in relationships, these people.
Well, it's so odd because like if I ever left a comment on your photo, like, you are old and ugly, like people would reach out to me and be like, why'd you leave that comment? Like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? You know?
Yeah.
And so it's obvious that people who are publicly on their public profiles with pictures of them and their dogs, like, who are leaving comments like that have no people around them that care about them because they would be embarrassed, like, to have to their mom or grandma be like, why did you leave that comment? That's kind of weird of you, you know?
Yeah.
They have nobody, and it's almost sad if you think about it. Like, think about the amount of people that would reach out to either of you if you left a comment on a Kardashian's picture being like, you are fat and ugly. Like,
and so how did they tell you that the show had to end?
Through my agent. And then right after that, my agent dropped me. So, and then my manager and
And how did they tell you that they were dropping you?
All over the phone.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
I'm going to be you.
Yeah.
Hi. Just having a really hard day. What's up?
Yeah, no, I was crying the whole day.
Okay.
My voice was always like trembling. Like, it was so embarrassing.
I'm going to be you. I'm sorry. It's so embarrassing, but I'm crying.
Hey, it's Dave. I'm just going to cut right to it. You know, they canceled the show. I'm like, oh, okay.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the first thing that happened that day. And then over the next 3 days, it was first the show, then every single brand, then my agent, which, you know, it actually makes sense.
And how does the agent say it?
Well, so the agent at the time was one of my very close friends, still is, and we were both just crying. Like, we loved working together. Like, it was just
so
like...
his bosses were making him dump you.
Yes, and making him make the call. Which we were both just crying, and it was so awkward. But it actually made sense. I wasn't really that upset that my agent dropped me. Like, an agent's job is to make you money, and there was absolutely no money to be made at that time.
Yeah, but I mean...
Then my manager dropped me, and that was what upset me the most because that's when I was like, okay, it's like, I am radioactive, like, I will never work again. Like, even my manager, who's like, their job isn't to make me money, it's to, you know, kind of navigate this whole thing with me. And when they dropped me, I was just
and how did they tell you they're dropping you?
On the phone.
What did they say?
He was like, yeah, I got a call from upstairs. Like, we can't technically represent you anymore. I'm like, okay. I cried, and So
you took a month off.
Yeah.
And then is that when you woke up one day?
Well, when you're going through it, all you really see is the mean tweets.
Yeah.
And there are people who support you, but they're afraid to be as loud as the mean people because Twitter is a kind of platform that welcomes negativity. So if you're wanting to come out and support someone or say something that's necessarily unpopular, you're not feeling so brave on Twitter.
Right.
You're more brave to be like, okay, you're an ugly cunt, you know?
Yeah.
And so once the dust kind of settled, there were still a lot of people who missed the show. And I couldn't believe it. And Jackie was really gung-ho on getting started, and I was like so anxious. She handles stuff a lot better. Mm-hmm. And between the two of us, like, it all kind of fell on my name. Like, if you were to Google both of us, it was about both of us. It was just heavier on me. I don't know why. And so she's just a lot more level-headed than I am, and she can see past, like, the mean and the negativity in the press. But, like, anytime I get a Google alert, like, my heart sinks. Like, even if it's good, like, I almost have, like, post-traumatic stress.
I never get excited.
Never. And because the first time I ever got a Google alert was this. So even if it's like, Claudia's amazing on the cover of BuzzFeed, I'm like, oh, fuck, what are they saying? You know? Like,
yeah.
So I've almost just been, like, really scarred from it. But we got the show up and running, but we had just lost literally all of our income, so we had to put up the money for a show, rent the studio, get the equipment, personnel, and we did. And I remember the first day, everyone was like, because our old studio was the best. Like they filmed Yahoo Finance in there. Like it was the best. They had 1 million people, the microphones, hair and makeup, and we had a studio in Queens that was like a tiny room that we were paying all of our money for, and we just continued to do it. I don't even remember that time. People ask me all the time, like, how do you come back from that shitstorm? And honestly, I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember any of it.
I think your story is so awesome.
Thank you.
I love it so much because
you.
It was like, you know, in the cancel culture, in the things that people, it's exactly, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just not be entertaining anymore? Like, not let anybody because of this?
Yeah.
And like, thank God you guys stuck it out, and now you're more successful than ever. You're making more money than you ever did before, and I think it's awesome.
We have such a bigger audience because of it, and there's so many people who actually found out about us, like, from the scandal.
Yes.
And they thought that, like, it was just kind of unfair. And I never want to, like, say that I'm a victim, because I'm not. Like, I got punished for something I said. But cancel culture is so toxic because they kind of loop in people who have said bad things with people who have done bad things. So I feel like they're putting the Kevin Harts of the world in the same basket as like the Kevin Spaceys of the world, when it's extremely different. Like,
yes.
There's a difference between saying something that was meant to be a joke that came off extremely offensive.
Right. And somebody was hurt. They weren't thrown up against a wall and raped.
Right.
They saw something that was like, that didn't make me feel good inside.
Right.
Okay.
And you're entitled to feel that way, but like let's stop treating people like Kevin Hart and like people like me like I literally murdered someone. Like at the end of the day, I made a joke that was so terrible and also not funny and offensive. And I always try and think of cancel culture in the way it's like, okay, I couldn't really speak on what Kevin Hart said because I'm not black or gay, but let's say if someone made a joke about Jewish people, like, how would I feel? So if anyone ever came up to me and was like, what you said on Twitter, like, all those years ago, like, still really affects me and I'm offended by it, like, I would still say I'm sorry. Like, and I am sorry, but at some point we have got to evolve. Like, we have got to move on. And that's why I follow Jamila Jamil on Instagram, because she, like, teaches me everything that I need to know. And it's like, you can be ignorant.
Jamil?
Do you know Jamila Jamil?
No.
Okay, she's on that NBC show, The Good Place.
Oh, okay.
But what she's really known for is, like, her activism.
Oh.
And she just really explains how it's, like, it's okay to have said something ignorant, but as long as you're, like, you're learning and growing in your ignorance, like, and knowing why and what you said was wrong, you're winning. Like, it's okay to not know everything. Like, every now and then, I'm just not going to use the right pronoun or the right things are, every now and then, you can't really use the word manpower anymore because, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's okay to not know everything, but as long as you're willing and open to, like, understand why the word manpower is problematic, that's okay.
Right, totally. And I remember when you talked about the R word, there was a time when that was a punchline for a lot of jokes.
Of course.
A lot of things. And I remember this guy walked up to me after a show, and there was two other comics that we all performed together. And he's like, loved your act. I really wish you wouldn't use that word. This is my son.
Oh.
And I was like, never. I took it out of my act. The other comic actually got in a discussion of why he chose to use it, why he doesn't think it's a problem. I was like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to say that anymore. I can come up with another word, and I can come up with other jokes.
Yeah, of course.
So I think sometimes there's a point to being like, as a comic, no, I'm not going to water down my stuff so much. But then there's also a point where it's like, move on with America, people.
There is so much value in civil discourse. And in this climate, like, no one can just, like, have a conversation. Like, two people are allowed to disagree. And if that's the thing. If someone came up to me and explained to me, I used to do a joke all the time. I have the worst memory. And I used to joke that I have dementia. But, there are people who are really affected by that disease, and it's, like, triggering for them. So after, literally someone just DM'd me, they were like, my grandmother has dementia. It's been, like, so hard for me. And just explaining why it, like, really upsets them. I just changed it to I have amnesia now, which I guess is, like, less offensive. So it's like the joke is still the same, and I've never really been affected by amnesia. So I mean, by dementia, so I guess I didn't know what that's like. But it's like just explaining it to me, tweeting me and being like, you're a dumb bitch. Like, that's not helpful. That's not going to help me grow. It's not going to help you grow. But sending me a lovely message about how you still love and support me, but you're just like, wish I wouldn't say this word. Okay, I can get behind that.
Well, I actually have the word Alzheimer's in my special coming
very
up.
triggering.
But you know what? There is Alzheimer's in my family, and I'll probably get it.
And you know
so
what?
and I think, who knows if it started already, since I'm so old and Skeletor. So I'm not taking it out, and I do make a reference to it. And
but then at the same
I'll
time,
get ready for that tweet, girl.
At the same time, I feel very strongly that it's okay to make jokes about things that make you sad. You know,
Yeah.
like, and just because you are offended or hurt by what someone said, like, that doesn't mean that you have the right to just yell it from the rooftops.
Yes.
Like, so someone has been affected by Alzheimer's and they want to send you a message about how they hated what you said in the special, but
And I'll be like, well, I was affected too.
right,
So
and that's your way of
whatever.
coping with it.
Yeah.
So
and my grandmother and my mom that had it think I'm a hoot, and
Right.
they actually came down from heaven and told me to keep it in my special.
good. Then that's
So
your truth.
there you go.
That is your truth.
Let's talk about some fun shows.
Please.
Okay, now Kardashians. Let's
Live.
first talk about the Kardashians a little bit. So I watched it the other night, and I watch it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think about Scott Disick's being a house flipper out in
you know what?
Calabasas and Hidden Hills? I mean, if I can make $8 million, I'm gonna make it.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna open up the living room to the dining room, and boom, this place is a palace.
Open concept. I actually think
It's shocking, his ideas.
I think it's a good idea. Do you remember a couple seasons ago where Courtney, she's always been the one who's like very into interior design. She like loves Architectural Digest and like claims that everyone copies her interiors. And they were like running around town. They wanted to become like a dynamic duo, like a Chip and Joanna Gaines, where like he would do the construction and she would do the interiors. And then like she's so lazy and has no work ethic that they obviously never did it. And it really made me realize like good for Scott for actually getting it done, because like she really like slowed him down, and they could have been something great. Like I actually think if they had been like this dynamic duo, because it's like everyone has their thing, you know. Good American, KKW Beauty, Kylie Cosmetics, like Poosh is very new and very fake, and Courtney doesn't really have a job. So I think that if she had followed through with it a couple of years ago, A, it could have helped her and Scott's relationship, and B, it could have been a huge thing. But now Scott's actually has his own show, and he's doing real work. Like, as much as it's so stupid, like, he's making his own money outside of being an extra on Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yes, I mean, I just found that show was one that I was just so annoyed with, because
I was annoyed with the characters around him.
Yes, they were awful. It was so
Awful.
fake.
Yep.
And it was like sitting tight on this couch, and then,
Yep.
walking around, and, and why aren't there more people working here today? I know it's raining, but like, and it's one house the entire season. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and then you watch it, Chuck and Joanna Gaines, and you're
And
like,
they're flipping a million houses.
A whole house, and they're taking like an old door and making it a headboard. I'm
Yep.
like, this is some clever shit.
They're taking like a garage door
Yeah.
and making it like a French door.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, taking a $150,000 house and making it $250,000, that's some real progress. Like,
and it's interesting.
Yeah, so okay. But what I want to talk about in the last episode was when Kanye then all of a sudden decided he didn't like that Kim was wearing such a sexy outfit
Yeah.
to the Met Ball. And I liked that she was like, really, dude? Like,
Yeah.
you're saying this in the 11th
No.
hour? That's so annoying. And I thought that was like the first time, as a person who's been married for a long time, I was like, finally you're showing like a real moment in your
Right.
marriage. And he's like, okay, I'm going to leave now. And
Yeah.
he gets kind of pissed. Yeah. But like at the same time, I was like, the next night, they're out, they're having an okay time.
Pretending.
But also that's life. Like, I thought it was good.
But what are your thoughts on him? Because people are now really upset with like him commenting on what a woman's wearing. People are upset with him for, it's kind of like victim blaming almost. Like, you really can't comment on what a woman is wearing, even if it is your wife.
Well,
people
also, he had a fashion show where like naked women
Of
were
course.
walking down and videos and everything. But I like that she said, look, you're on a different journey of like finding Jesus. And so your perception is changing. And even though I'm, lady lawyer here,
Yeah.
I still want to be naked.
And it's still very much a part of how she pays her bills,
Yes.
Did you watch her Eat Your Hollywood Story?
No, I haven't.
I feel like you would have been one of the experts on it.
Oh, God, I could totally. I mean, I'm saying for years, I'm like, when people would rip on her, I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, she made Instagram profitable for millions of people. And Twitter and everything. They were the first to, like, do paid posts.
Yep.
And, but wait, you asked me, do I think
It's okay for a man to comment on what a woman's wearing, even if that man is her husband.
I think what he was saying, which is interesting, is that he is changing.
He's evolving.
And he has found Jesus, and he is looking at like, wait a minute, you're my wife, you're a mother of 4, maybe we should move into like being a little more covered.
Reserved,
I'm fine with it being more covered. I'm just sick of the biker shorts and the muted, ugly sweatshirts that go for $400.
Like the dull, ripped colors.
Like, my God, like, is your kid ever? And now, remember North could only wear black and nude, and now she like wants to wear bright colors.
Because she loves JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, and at least they're not saying no, you can't. You need to blend into the walls.
Right.
No, they're letting her wear some fun
express
stuff.
herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I think it's kind of interesting, and we'll see where their like marriage and stuff goes, and all of that. I think it's kind of
it's interesting, and I feel like he's now more open to being on the show. At first, he never wanted to be on it. He wasn't even mic'd, and he was on the Eat Your Hollywood story, being like one of the quote unquote experts. And he wears a mic now, and North is allowed on it sometimes. So I think he's opening up to it. I think it's really seeing how it can affect his business in a positive way.
Yeah,
like Sunday service, I don't think would be as big as it is if they didn't put it on Kardashians and the whole. That's the Kardashian effect.
If you were invited, would you go?
Of course. I mean, I'm Jewish, but it's all the same book.
Yeah.
For the most part.
What about would you fly over to Wyoming and join that cult?
1,000%. I am a Kardashian stan. I would do anything for them. I'm always promoting their products. I believe in them. And I find myself always finding it necessary to defend them when it's like, why is it so difficult for people to just respect them? Like, say we want about them, but like it's 6 women running $1 billion business and no one else can say that. So
I just can't stop looking at the waist-ass ratio.
Yes.
Like,
I'm
every
over
time
the
I
ass.
watch it, I like freeze it and I'm like, look at how skinny the legs are. And it's like, I can't stop staring at it. And so that must be working too, because
it must be working, because I find it really shocking that she's kept the ass over all these years, and actually it's getting bigger, because if you watch her on the show, being in shape and fit is so important to her. Like, and I think that, she really struggles a lot with her weight, and you would think that like she would get rid of it because it almost makes her body bigger, and she's so obsessed with being small, she's always talking about her weight. So you would think she would have gotten rid of it by now.
Here's prediction.
Yeah.
Prediction. The ass is going to be significantly smaller by May of 2020.
Why do you think that?
Because I think
it's time.
She's going to realize, like, I'm a lawyer. I can't fit in this pencil skirt.
Right. This pantsuit is
it's just like, it's too much.
Yeah.
She's going to finally, like, really look at some photos and be like, or North is going to be like, what's up with your mom? Why is your ass so much bigger than every other mom's? Like, what's up with it?
None of the moms.
And then she'll be like, you know what, Northie and Chai, it's I don't want them to have a complex and think that they have to have as big of an ass as mine.
Right. Like, at some point, it's like, now you're a role model. What do you want to be?
And then they're going to look at Kourtney's and be like, it's still a great ass. I don't know why Khloe and I made it so big.
Right, like, Kourtney looks better than ever.
I mean, Khloe's is so
bad. It's so poorly done.
It's just like, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it.
Me neither.
Like, I do get, wanting a little something, but I think it's just, again, it was like, when it's almost being like anorexic, you don't see how skinny you are.
Like a
you
form
don't
of
see
body dysmorphia.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or like, in my day, people were tanorexic, and they'd keep going to the tanning salon, and they wouldn't realize how tan they were. All right, let's talk about Real Housewives of OC. Now, you missed last night's episode because you're traveling here in LA.
And I'm on Pacific time, and I don't really
understand.
But
you know what's going on in it.
Of course.
So they go on a train to San Diego, which is like an hour and a half ride from Newport. And
so as someone who lives in California, was the train highly unnecessary?
It's kind of a fun way to get to places. I mean, if you want to go and you can like look at the shore.
Right.
But no, I mean, normally they would take a bus. But the train made sense because they all made fun that Kelly had done a train. And on it, Gina's still really, really upset because, it's like, Emily set me up with her husband's cousin who had a girlfriend. Like, how did you not know that? Like, how do you not help your friend out? Like, my husband cheated on me, and then this guy reveals that he has a girlfriend. I'm like, what?
No good deed goes unpunished.
So Emily's just like, wow, and she's like crying, and
wow, that was a really good wow.
And then Megan King Edmonds comes with her perfectly tall, skinny body, and she's wearing like a remember when J-Lo had that jean jumpsuit?
Yes, of course.
I think actually right now Chloe's got it on Good American. She's bringing it back. Yeah, on the Good American, she's wearing. You can buy it there. Anyway, Megan King Edmonds' long lean body looks pretty amazing.
Okay.
She pairs it with a little Gucci fanny pack and a conductor's hat.
Cute.
Okay. And they're like, oh, she's back. Okay. But shut up the door. It's my birthday. Choo-choo! I want a kiss some guys. I wanted these lips are going to be on someone's face. If it's the last thing I do. The screaming in this episode.
That's horrifying.
Between her and then they get so drunk and they're drinking on the train. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that like someone didn't have alcohol poisoning.
Oh my God, I don't know how you drink on a moving like train.
They
like
drank
that.
on that.
And half the women are probably going backwards because they're sitting on the other side.
And Shannon, you know what? This is where Fun Shannon was born. On this beach in San Diego.
Wow.
My boyfriend used to surf. My girlfriend and I, we used to drink Andre champagne. And then we'd be like, get in there and start the party. Okay, so they go to some other restaurant. They order a bunch of drinks. And
they could take down a bottle of tequila in seconds.
They're drinking spicy skinny margaritas, and Bronwyn is there. And Emily just starts to, they're all talking about Kelly, and Kelly's like, you hurt my daughter! No, she didn't say that last night, but she said it so many times.
To Vicky?
She says it to everybody. Okay. She didn't say it last night.
Okay.
But it's just the only way I can do Kelly's voice is to say you hurt my daughter.
And she did hurt her daughter at the end of the day.
Well, let's not bring up the fact that, that hurt the daughter, but Kelly talking about her pussy being pounded and having a jet go to her vagina.
That's the thing.
And jumping in the pool naked in front of the crew. That doesn't bother
with
the daughter.
What Vicky and everyone says about Kelly, it's like, it's probably true, like the train. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just like the way these women in OC in particular, like they have, in some cities, like they know when to stop. Like in Beverly Hills, you can't talk about money and you really can't talk about people's husbands. There's a bar and they really never go beneath it. But in OC, that bar does not exist. And they say the most evil, vile things about each other's families, husbands, brothers, sisters, vaginas. And it's so crazy. And then they're always like so dumbfounded. Like, how could you say that? That's the environment that they've created on that show.
And I think they all know, like, hey, guys.
We're the worst franchise. We've got to do so. Someone show your titties because we suck.
We don't have the snark of New York.
Nope.
And we don't have the
money
Hollywood
of Beverly
connections.
Hills.
Yeah.
Everyone has a sadder house every season on OC. Everyone has, like, a worse wardrobe, worse furniture. It's, like, deteriorating. It's, like, a body, like, that's literally, like, when you die, it's, like, your corpse. It's just, like, there's maggots. Like, it is the worst franchise, and it's not getting better.
Well, I'll never stop watching.
Never.
I'll never stop watching. And I when people say they're stop watching, I'm like, I don't know, sex sells. So last night there was a lot of sex. So they get really drunk, then they go to the bathroom. Gina, Emily, and Megan go in the bathroom and they're crying. And I see there's this woman there. Like they're taking the camera in the bathroom. You see a woman waiting to take a shit. And she's just like, they fuzz out her face. Okay, but she has this ugly top on. Not to be a reality show detective.
Yeah.
But after that fight, which is about Gina and Emily fighting about, did you know that your cousin, that Shane's cousin had a girlfriend or not? They then get in a bus and go to a whole nother location to have dinner. Oof. And while they're getting drunk at dinner, that ugly shirt lady is sitting there.
Do you think she was a producer or something?
I mean, she didn't look like her, but or they got her and said, do you want to come to the next location?
That's fascinating. I live for little details
like that. Oh my God, I'll post both photos and you can see. And they even gave her like a moment where she gave like a look because
so she was unblurred at the second place?
Totally unblurred at the second place. And all these people had to be subjected to the loudest screaming, talking, drinking, that they did 1942 shots for everybody, and they kept drinking, and then Bronwyn goes, we know that Bronwyn likes to have threesomes.
Yeah.
And so now all her kids know that when they go to Vegas, another woman goes down on mom, and dad's there to see it, which I think is great for a mother of 7.
Yeah.
Anyway, but hey, whatever, and so she gets to be on TV, and her daughter gets to have a fashion show for her ballet line.
Fashion Week.
So it's like, hey, I'm going to reveal that I like to go down on women, and women go down on me, and dad's there to see it. Yeah. But guess what? You're going to have some ballet leggings.
It's a small
price
to pay.
So I don't want to hear you talk about it. Okay? she goes, and they're there, and so Tamara and her, she goes, she's like, oh my God, you're so hot, Tamara. And they start talking. And she's like, when my husband went down on me last night, I just think about other women. And then Tamara goes, me too. What? And so then Gina's like, oh my God, like what's going on here? She moves over, and then the two of them just start making out. And I don't mean just like a kiss. I don't mean just a kiss. I mean like they were getting wet. Like hands down titties at the restaurant.
Oh my God, I gotta watch.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think this
is... I can't believe I missed
it. I think it's good for ratings. Everyone can say, I'm not watching anymore. I disagree. I think they're going to watch.
Is also terrible and is one of the worst housewives ever, so I'm glad she's finally bringing
something
to the table.
Why do you think she's terrible? You don't like her Betsy Johnson, her mom?
No. You know what? When I first... when I first saw her on the show, I'm like, okay, she's not bad. She's cute. She's pretty. She has an interesting life. And then I just found, like, when it comes to the drama, she is so, like, such a pussy. Like, her running to the front of the bus and crying. Like, you're a housewife now. You gotta sit there and take it, and you gotta fight back. Like, she has no stake in any fight. Like, she's first on Emily's side, and then she's on Gina's side. Like, she's too wishy-washy. Like, pick a side, girl.
I think she wants to be
well-liked.
I think she is I think she's a veteran of watching Housewives.
Yes.
I think she knows that she knew to get up and also go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Let me go see how she's doing. Well, why do you have to go? Megan King Edmonds already went.
That's a great
But she's
point.
like, no, there's 6 people here. I need to go where there's a 3-person scene so I can have more time on the camera.
Right.
Definitely. And, and then she's like, I never had a job before, and now I finally do.
She's girl with no job.
Yeah, she tried stealing your thunder. So, girl with no job, now a reality star mom, like Stu threesome. So anyway, they're making out so hardcore. And then Tamara falls off the thing, the chair. And then Shannon goes down there, and then the 3 amigas are rolling around on the ground. And Vicky pees in her leopard pants. Of
course.
And again, the patrons there, nobody's stopping it. They're not. They're like, oh, they're loving it because I assume whatever it is.
It's exciting.
Or they were paid, or their meals are free, or they're fans, or they knew about it. So then they go next door to the bar. And the drinking continues, and the makeout continues. Now Tamara's laying on the booth.
Wait, I'm so shook. Like, I don't believe you.
And she's now straddled her. And her top is open. And
do you think off camera, like, they fucked or something?
She said on Watch What Happens Live, it stopped there. But I did not know, because I just had the 2 old G's, Peggy and Blonde Peggy and Lynn Curtin.
Peggy Sulhanian or the
not the 100th
she was
housewife.
The worst.
I know
the God. Like if you had that bitch on this podcast,
no,
I would be like, you are lending your platform to people who don't deserve
it.
No.
And they were pretty interesting, but in that one they had mentioned that there was this one housewife that was like kind of a friend of that was like a lesbian, and she was like Argentinian or something, and she was there to be like a possible like spicy lesbian lover for Tamara. So I'm like, I didn't really.
I never saw, like, this seems like a new storyline.
So now Tamara's sort of revealing, or has on, like, I guess they're down for that, or making out with girls, or whatever. I think it's good
great.
For the
show. It sounds
show.
great, like great TV. This sounds riveting. I hope the episode is as good as your recap. Sometimes the recaps are actually better than the actual episode, and you don't need to watch it. But I'm still going to watch it because I need to see them making out. I live for a makeout. Do you like
Emily?
Okay, so I am like an Emily champion almost. I feel like she's really misunderstood. And I think, and I know I might be wrong, but I think there's actually like a really fun, cool person inside of her, but she cannot let it out because her husband is holding her back. Her life is literally miserable. And her one friend is like leaving her because now she's finally a part of the cool girls. Like she's friends with Regina George and she's leaving Janice Ian behind, Emily's Janice Ian, So I actually think...
What do you think's up with their marriage, her and Shane?
I don't fucking know. And like on Watch Happens Live, she confirmed like everything's fine and they're not getting divorced. And Shane actually did not pass the bar.
He did not?
No, the Toasters found that out. They searched like the California Attorney Registry and his name was not on there. And then Emily confirmed it.
But Emily did confirm.
I believe she did on Watch What Happens Live. So I really feel like there's a second Emily behind her, and every now and then we get like a little peek into like maybe Emily is fun. And I think she's just like so riddled with like self-doubt, and I think that the show has actually been really bad for her mental health because like everyone acts like she's like morbidly obese when she's like very fine looking. Like I mean, I'm no one to talk, like maybe she could like lose a couple pounds, but she seems pretty fine to me. Like I don't get what the big deal is. And Eddie and Tamara in their gym, like investigating her health, like she's literally on the brink of death. Like she's fine.
No, also she has the kind of body I love, which is like proportioned.
Yeah.
Like if I gained weight, I would just be like a marshmallow on a piece of stick.
Me too. Mine congregates in my food.
Yeah,
like she's pretty even.
She's got a waist, a nice ass. Did you like her striptease that she did for the father-in-law?
So I did not, obviously, because it was incredibly fucking weird. And just like the whole thing was weird. Like I don't know what was weirder, like that the father-in-law was there or that like her friends were there but her husband wasn't, and then the husband ended up coming but not until after the striptease was done.
My theory is they were coming up for stuff to do for the show.
Yeah.
She met the Queen of Versailles, and the Queen of Versailles was like, anytime you want to do anything at our place, our hotel in Vegas, we can do it, whatever that is. And then I think some producer that's been working on the show forever, that was part of when Gretchen did Pussycat Dolls, said, what about doing like a really empowering dance or something? What do you have coming up? Well, I have my anniversary coming up. So then she committed to doing it. And then Shane was like, fuck no.
Right,
I'm
and
not
she couldn't
going.
get out of
I'm
it.
not sitting there. But then she wants to be a good cast member, and she doesn't want to be difficult to, and she doesn't want to upset Queen of Versailles, who was going to get all this advertising about Westgate, and she didn't want to be upsetting to the producers. So she was like, okay, well, I'll just do it, and my girlfriends will just come.
That's stupid.
And at least we get to film something there.
And then they ran into Barry Manilow, which was so funny. Like, I was hysterically laughing when Kelly Dodd had the picture of her and Barry Manilow saying she was a fan-alo. It was great. That's like, there's some parts
Kelly's
of,
very funny.
There's
Kelly's
some franchises where it's like the little moments and details are more interesting than like the making out.
Yes.
And OC is definitely not one of those franchises. I feel like New York and Beverly Hills are. And I actually just recently got into Potomac, and it's excellent. Do you watch it?
Oh, I watched Potomac, yeah.
It's so good, and actually terrible franchises like the Orange County make you realize how good Potomac and Atlanta, like the underrated series are, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why things like OC are necessary in the universe, you know?
I like OC because I love the OC. So
Yeah.
aesthetically, I like the ocean shots.
Of course.
I like bars that serve tapas.
Yeah, I just wish they had like nicer homes. It's supposed to be an aspirational show.
I
But the
get
casita
that.
is not aspirational.
But I've talked about this a lot. It's never coming back.
yeah, like
The
that
rich
level.
people of the OC will never join the show.
Yeah, in certain cities,
They're never going
you'll never
to.
get the rich people who are actually rich in New York. All the housewives now, like they're the nice things that they own are because of Bravo. Like it's not because of any jobs
Yeah.
or businesses that they own besides for Bethany.
No, I think the jujitsu, whatever.
Yeah.
That incident and then the ones that have come after have made really wealthy people or anybody that has something possibly to lose or be exposed in a business, they're like, no.
That's why people like Cameron Westcott are so important to the franchise. Like,
Yes.
she is so rich and real rich, like old money, like Highland Park Village, like,
Right.
and she brings this kind of level to a show that
But
also
I'm
has
not
Leanne
just
Locken on it.
rich. I'm doing Sparkle Dog.
Yep.
And I really think it's amazing because I came from a small town called Montecito, where Oprah lives. And there my dad would take us to the Polo Lounge and the Polo Club, and he played polo.
She actually just came on our show, and
Yes.
she was so beautiful and like perfect.
I like
And
her. She's
I like
nice.
her a lot. And you know what? She admits she's like, I loved the Housewives, and it was like a big deal for me to be on it. Like my husband's family is not like so keen on having their shit blown up, and they let me do it, and I'm such a big fan. And she's just so happy to be doing it, which is like exactly kind of like how it should be. She's a great housewife. She has the money, she has the plane, she's got the house in Colorado, and she's cute and funny, and she has a great wardrobe, and she has an interesting family life. The Sparkle Dog thing, I actually
She's
really,
a little controversial, which I
really,
like.
yeah, I really didn't like her in the beginning, though I thought the whole Sparkle Doll thing was so fucking stupid. Like, you can't just come on the show and launch a brand. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be on it for years, slumming it with everyone else before you can use a platform to launch a brand. A la Luann. Now all she does is promote her, her tour and her Giovanni and her jewelry. But before that, she was slumming it like everyone else, just being a housewife. You can't just come on and promote your product. That's why I feel so weird about Deandra Simmons. It's like, she can't get her business off the ground. Meanwhile,
she had a product.
She's on the biggest show in the country, and I don't even know the name of her company. She is the worst business owner ever. All she does is talk about her company on one of the biggest shows ever, probably the ideal consumer for whatever her product is, and I still don't know what business she's in.
Yeah.
What is the name of her company? What products do they sell? I know they do commercials on Christian TV, but I don't know what the actual product is.
That's done. They're not on Christian TV anymore.
Right,
so
that's why they're struggling.
She's got to bring it
But
back.
what is it? What is the product?
It's skincare, and it's also like having your greens in a glass of water.
Okay, sure. All I'm saying is you're a business owner, you have a huge platform,
Right.
you have an Instagram account with hundreds of thousands. I still don't know what you do.
Yes. What I like about, you know what someone just said? They saw Cameron on another show. She and her husband, it was like a chef show where someone had to do a challenge to cook for a wealtty family in Highland Park.
Oh, they were
So
the
I
family?
love when you see like that they were on like maybe
Reality.
King Edmonds was on Say Yes to the Dress.
Yep.
Like or
So was I.
And you were
Yep.
and then
Stassi Schroeder was on The Amazing Race.
Right.
Cameron
And
from Southern Charm was on The Real World.
Dina from Real Housewives of New Jersey was on like a Bridezilla or
Love
some
it.
kind of
Love
bride
it.
show that we
Love,
saw.
love, love, love.
When she married that husband and they had it at the Brownstone or
Love
whatever.
it. Oh, yeah.
God, there's been a lot like that. So it's like, yeah, there has been, and then Leanne's totally honest about how many
Miss
reality
Congeniality.
No, she's been on like 4 other
Has she?
failed Dallas reality
pilots?
shows. No, like they did see the light of day.
Oh.
There was like older models, and then there was something like Rich in Dallas or something. She'd been on a bunch of other shows like in the last 15 years.
Well, I'm glad it's
that
finally
didn't
working.
make it. So yeah. So it's like I think they, there's people that aspire to do it. I think
Yeah.
it's weird that like actually falls in your lap organically,
Right.
like through a friend.
Very
Do
rare.
you want to do it? Yeah.
Right, and that's how it happened with that new girl Carrie on Dallas. Carrie Duber, Carrie Duber suggested new Carrie, and they actually ended up replacing Carrie Duber with new Carrie, the friend that she suggested. She got replaced.
Do you think that Carrie Duber's not happy about that, or I thought she's starting her own show about plastic surgery?
That's what she claims, but there's no proof of that, and I just feel like why would she have walked away? I don't think she's that, wealthy or that secure. Like, she loved the show. She was very much at the center of all the gossip for her first 3 seasons. It makes no sense why she's not on the show.
Well, I mean, the only thing is like,
Is if they're getting another show,
or do you want them to keep talking that your husband got his dick sucked at the
Well,
roundup?
that's what's so lame of her. It's like, that's how you know she's so thirsty to be on camera, is because literally Leanne Locken tried to ruin your marriage, claimed your husband gets his dick sucked by men, and you're out here throwing her a lingerie bachelorette party. Why? Because you want to be on camera.
You want to be in lingerie at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday.
So odd. Oh my God.
I love it. I know you have to go.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
1:00. Oh my gosh, Claudia, we really had a lot of fun.
I did.
We could talk forever. Everybody, their show is The Morning Toast. Follow her on Instagram. She's very funny. Girl with No Job is the name of the Instagram.
Yep.
And do you have lots of dates coming up?
I do. We just added 6 more, so you can check out girlwithnojob.com, San Diego, San Francisco this weekend if you're around, and then we just added Ontario, Tarrytown, Verona, Kansas City, and a couple more that I can't remember. Just check out girlwithnojob.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was fun.
Where are you going in San Diego?